can start your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so you can see it, right? Okay.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, good. So basically, the aim of my presentation today is to show you a bit the policy context, which is important for the federated partners, federated project, because this gives let's say, an idea about the policy frameworks which are now being developed at the level of the European Commission and the level of the European Union in general. I will start with the sustainable and smart mobility strategy, because this is the document adopted last year in December. And this document guides all our actions in DG Move, including specific policy initiatives aimed to support the digital transformation of freight transport and logistics. The strategy has three main pillars. So this is the sustainability, of course, the contribution to the Green Deal and the European climate law, with, of course, the very ambitious target of 90% of reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 compared to 1990 levels. The digital transformation, very important component, because this is regarded as an enabler for optimizing the entire transport system and resilience, the lessons, of course, learned from the COVID-19 pandemic to prevent any future disruptions of the supply chains and transport system in general. The strategy is organized around 10 flagship areas with key milestones, and contains very detailed action plan with a list of concrete policy actions. And this is quite important, and I would like to draw your particular attention to flagship number 7, innovation, data, artificial intelligence for smarter mobility. This actually flagship gives us the right to support actions related to digital transformation of freight transport logistics. And when we are zooming in flagship 7, we have 10 specific actions, 2 of them being of particular relevance. This is action 49. Develop a common European mobility data space, and action 54, propose rules on a trusted environment for corridor data exchange to support collaborative logistics. Actually, both of them are quite correlated. The first one is more horizontal, because this will cover all these sectors, you know, of the transport and mobility, including passenger specific modal initiatives. The second action is more specific. It's aimed to develop harmonized framework for seamless data exchange for freight transport logistics. And actually, we are very lucky to have good support, good expertise from the Digital Transport Logistics Forum. In the sense, action 54 would contribute to the development of action 49. I will start perhaps with the common European mobility data space. Perhaps a couple of words about the context. The context is the overall European strategy for data, which is being now developed at the strategic level, at the horizontal level of the EU. And this is about the establishment of a single market for data, including you know, the establishment of the common European data spaces. What is this idea about? So this is about to ensure interoperable data sharing within the EU sectors and also between the sectors, and also to make more data available for businesses and citizens to create for better innovation, for new business models. Actually, you know, we consider that it's the increase of data volume will create a lot of opportunities to develop the EU economy. Actually, I noted a couple of statistics that global level, the increase of data volume from, there is an increase of data volume from 33 zettabytes in 2018 to 175 zettabytes forecasted in 2025. So it's really, really huge. Huge increase, and of course we all want to benefit from this increase for the good of the society, and of course for improving the efficiency of the European economy. At the same time, we need to ensure that the European rules and values are fully respected. In that sense, we have, for example, this famous GDPR framework. And also we need to ensure that all rules for access and use of data are fair, practical, and clear. For example, the data owners should keep control of their data. And also we have to prevent, the abusing the market power by some companies which have dominant market position. So this is the general framework, and now it is being implemented through a set of specific regulation or legislative acts, and two of them are of particular relevance for the European data spaces. This is the Data Governance Act, which was adopted in November 2020, and upcoming Data Act, which is planned to be adopted at the beginning of 2022. As regards Data Governance Act, it has three aims, basically. First of all, to boost data sharing across the economic sectors of the European Union. Secondly, to empower users to stay in control of their data. And of course, encourage the creation of common European data space in key economic sectors. The data governance regulations foresee four types of measures or four sets of measures. First of all, a mechanism to facilitate the reuse of certain public sector data. For example, in health sector, it's quite important, especially in the during the pandemic. Secondly, measures to ensure that data intermediaries will function as trustworthy organizers of data sharing and pooling. And this is mostly about labeling or certification for neutral data brokers. Then measures to make it easier for citizens and businesses to make their data available for the benefits of the society. This is so-called data altruism. And measures to facilitate data sharing. And then we have the technical enablers as generic standards for data sharing and interoperability. On top of that, the Data Governance Act foresees the creation of the European Data Innovation Board, which would serve as a kind of governance body for the deployment of the European data space. So this is the common framework for the European data space, and it will consist of a number of sectorial data spaces in key economic sectors, including for mobility and transport. Additional provisions will be delivered in the Data Act, but as I said, Data Act will be specifically launched or adopted by the Commission at the beginning of the next year. So perhaps we will skip this slide, and I will just give you an update what's happening as regards the establishment of the common European mobility data space. So it's still in the conceptual process. There is an internal reflection being conducted at the level of DG Move. But the basic, let's say, idea is to cover all possible data exchange systems and databases which are relevant for mobility and transport. And we really need to pool all this information in one single framework, but at the same time, we need to ensure we make use of the common building blocks to be delivered for this horizontal framework of the common European data spaces, because otherwise we will not be able to be interoperable with the other data spaces which will be, let's say, established for the other economic sectors. Okay, important information. Digital Europe program, a completely new funding program, has been launched by the Union to support the digital transformation of the European economy, including the support for deployment of the European data space. So this, the first European Digital Europe work program was adopted on the 10th of November, and the first call for proposals were published on the 17th of November. It's important to understand the first call includes a preparatory action on a common European mobility data space with a budget of €1 million. And the deadline for application is 22nd February. So all, let's say, organizations which would be interested to participate in the call may of course may have a look at this as the work program and the call text, and can also participate in a workshop which will be organized on the 2nd of December, and you know, the organizers are DG Move and DG Connect together as the leaders. And of course, this workshop will provide you a lot of information about the context of the call, what can be funded, what we expect, and how we would like to support the development of the data space for mobility. It's also perhaps worth mentioning that there will be still additional actions to support the development of the data space for mobility, and these actions will be included in subsequent calls. For example, there will be a third call for proposals to be launched in the second part of 2022. But I think what is important perhaps for you to remember, there is a workshop on the 2nd of December, and we really encourage you to participate. Action, coming back to the strategy, there is an action on trusted environment for corridor data exchange to support collaborative logistics. And this action is very important because it would provide kind of framework for data sharing to optimize the supply chains for all supply chain stakeholders. As I said at the beginning, we rely very much on the support from the Digital Transport Logistics Forum. This is an expert group of the European Commission, and there is a particular contribution expected from one of the subgroups which was created under the DTLF, and the subgroup is on the corridor freight information systems. So this subgroup will specifically, or is specifically working on a concept which will then contribute to action number 54. A second important topic which is being addressed by the DTLF is the implementation of the electronic freight transport information. I will also tell something more about this topic a bit later. Now, the corridor freight information systems is based on the idea of the federated network of platforms to create a seamless environment for data sharing. So to create a kind of environment where everybody, all the organizations can connect and share data without any prior bilateral agreements to use all the services which are offered in this federated environment. There is a very nice video which we have prepared recently. I will not play it today. However, you can always click the link which is provided at the end of my presentation and check yourself. You know what is in the video. It's very nicely explained in the very easy way for everybody. In terms of the structure, this corridor freight information system subgroup is split into four teams, each of them addressing a specific building block, which is developed for this federated network of platforms. So team 1 is addressing plug and play. This is about authentication, identification, and authorization to access this federated network of platforms and use the services which are offered by this environment. Team 2, technology independent services, is to produce some technology independent services which support data sharing between supply chain stakeholders, and the team 2 is also dealing with the data semantics, which is a very important element and also was mentioned at the beginning by Guido. Team 3, Federation of Platforms, is dealing with the digital architecture, and Team 4, Trusted, Safe, and Secure, is about the governance. So this is the overall framework and 4 building blocks, which then together fit into the overall concept of the federated network of platforms. What would be the outcome from the DTLF on this specific topic? So first of all, the DTLF is expected to provide technical specification as regards the registration, architecture, interoperability principles, common services, the governance. So that would be a set of the technical, let's say, specifications, recommendations, but at the same time, it will address the users. So it will provide implementation guidelines for individual organizations on how to plug and operate in the federated network of platforms. That would be a kind of practical book for all organizations which would like to really join this federated network. The time perspective for those deliverables is end of 2022, beginning of 2023. But it's also important to say that the interim report is being now prepared by the subgroup 2 of the DTLF and will be due in coming weeks, depending on the validation by the DTLF plenary. Another important aspect is that DTLF concepts are being, let's say, validated by 2 projects. Of course, you know the federated project, but it's also another one which is called Phoenix. And the projects are cooperating closely with DTLF. They provide a lot of technical contribution to the DTLF work. They validate the DTLF concept in the real work practice, especially through the number of use cases and living labs. Therefore, we are looking forward to the discussion today and the presentation of various pilots, under federated. It's also important for future onboarding of the DTLF solution by the stakeholders and also for the community building. So the overall, let's say, system is quite, let's say, important to have close coordination between the DTLF, federated, and Phoenix. Finally, a couple of words about electronic freight transport information regulation, which was also supported by the DTLF. The preparation, at least, was supported by the DTLF. This is about the obligation for all competent authorities in the member states to accept information related to cargo, to the transporting of cargo, which is submitted in electronic form. And operators, of course, can, according to the regulation, they can choose whether they can submit information on paper to the authorities or in electronic form. If they choose electronic form, they would need to use certified FT platforms or service providers, because only then we would guarantee the harmonized application of FT regulation in the whole European Union. So this is about the harmonization of the reporting from the companies to authorities. But FT as such does not impose any additional obligation on the companies. So this is only about facilitation and creating a common framework for data exchange between the companies and public authorities. As regards the timeline, FT entered into force in August 2020. But it's still a lot of work to be done. There is a technical implementation needed, for example, to develop a specific FT data set. There should be national requirements prepared, common rules for authorities, specifications for platforms and service providers, and so on. So at the end of the day, we are planning to finish this technical work by August 2024. And to have a full application of FT regulation, meaning the start of obligation for member state to accept FT data by 2025. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Szymon, for your presentation. I think the description about the concept of common data sharing and data space from the DG, from the Commission, is clear. I think it's really clear that we need to use this opportunity, the robust policy framework and also the funds, to create a value, because the center point is the concept of data sharing to optimize supply chain. And what is really important, I think, that when we are coupling DTLF and EFTAI, we are talking not purely on operations, we are talking about administration, we're talking about the entire ecosystem. This is really important for the benefit of the consumer at the end, the shippers, the customer of the mobility system of freight, the operators, but also the public administration related. So it's really important now that we are showing how we were dealing with our project to use those opportunities on the field by our partnership, starting with the presentation. And thank you, Szymon, again for yours, from our coordinator, Roland Walker, that is going to introduce our project. I just repeat 1 second on the slide, Slido for the pool first, and then for questions you may have. At the meantime, just to confirm that we are going to present, to send a link for the entire presentations we are going to have today to the participant registered. So please link on this and yeah. So the floor is yours, Roland.
Thank you very much, Guido. I guess you will show my presentation on the screen and then I can further act on it. Great. Thank you for giving me the floor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating in this event. Unfortunately, you were not able to come to this event. We are here in a room with 30 people already. So we are counting 30 plus 85. So we are reaching quite a substantial amount of people participating in this event, and it makes